All right, let's speak now to the Science, Technology and Innovation Department Minister, calling for universities to embrace new technologies. The department believes that this will help avoid the threat of cultural erosion. And we say good afternoon to Minister Professor Nzimande. Minister, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time.
Good afternoon, Thabo, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. Thank you for inviting me.
Looking at this move by the University of Cape Town, are we coming late to the party in terms of the promotion of the adoption of AI at our institutions of higher learning, or would you say we are ahead of the curve?
Well, I wouldn't say that we are ahead of the curve, but we are not coming in late, because we've actually been quite involved from the standpoint of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation in artificial intelligence. Our involvement is mainly from the standpoint of research. Firstly, we have a decadal plan that was called for by our white paper in 2019, which is a decadal plan from 2022 to 2032. One of its key dimensions is actually the promotion of digital skills, because we have identified those as being very important. So it's very much part of our 10-year plan, the decadal plan, including, by the way, also strengthening what we call digital economy, because our economies are not going to be strong unless also they've got very strong foundational digital skills, including data collection and all that. Secondly, we established what we call the Center for Artificial Intelligence Research, which has got 9 universities that are part of that and about 12 different centers within that context. Of course, we would like to extend this to all our universities. This is research on key aspects of digital technologies and artificial intelligence, like what we call machine learning. There is also, we are looking now at language development, using digital skills and so on, which incidentally, Thabo, by the way, will also help us to speed up this task that we have of the need to develop our African languages to become languages of science. And academia. But I'm very pleased.
You counted there one of the areas, which is faculty development, the establishment of AI expertise centers. But how quickly are you seeing, in research terms, the adoption or the integration of AI into the curricula?
I think that it's going to begin to move fast. The challenge that we have, Thabo, which we have to overcome, which the Association of University Vice Chancellors, Yusuf, I'm glad they are helping us with this, is to bring all our 26 public universities on board in terms of artificial intelligence research. They are already working with the IBM, the company, to actually build digital skills across our 26 public universities. That is actually going to make us to move faster. We've got other entities, by the way. There's another entity that we support, which is called AIMS, which is about focusing on mathematical sciences, Africa Institute for Mathematical Sciences. They are also doing quite a lot of work in artificial intelligence. And in some respects, it's advanced than many other countries that are in our level of development. But clearly, as I say, we can't say we are ahead of the curve, but as things stand now, we are not being left behind. We will just need to escalate and coordinate better all this work that we are doing. One of the things that we have to do, as I say, is to strengthen the training in digital skills.
With all 26 not on board, I mean, how are you then addressing, for example, issues of established clear guidelines for responsible use of AI in education? The ethical question, I suppose, that this technology advancement brings.
Well, you are raising a very important matter, Thabo. UNESCO, the United Nations Education and Science Organization, has been leading a very important project on ethics in AI. Because artificial intelligence can be used to pursue very perverse agendas. We see the genocide in Gaza at the moment. The Israeli soldiers and government are using artificial intelligence to bomb Gaza to smithereens. So those are some of the things that we need to guard against, to say that we need to use our science and artificial intelligence for positive human uses and for social justice. We are very strong in that as South Africa, and we are part of the UNESCO effort to say that let's try and ensure that we don't use these new technologies for war and destruction, but we use it for development. In addition to that, we are working with the Chinese, which we are very pleased because they are fairly advanced in many areas. That the Chinese have consciously said, using BRICS as well as other platforms of cooperation like the China-Africa Cooperation Forum, they are bringing in other developing countries to develop their capacities in artificial intelligence, and also looking at the issue of ethics. The issue of ethics is a big one, Tab. We are touching on a very important matter, because these technologies, I'm saying, they can be used for destruction instead of being used for progress and for social and economic development, including uplifting of poorer countries.
Yeah. Speaking of poorer countries, then, Minister, especially developing countries like South Africa and maybe other African countries as well, and other parts of the world, how are we ensuring equitable access, ensuring that all students have AI tools and technologies regardless of their background and socioeconomic status?
Well, firstly, the research that we are doing. By the way, let me emphasize this. This work, we are doing it together with other departments. The lead department in artificial intelligence is the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies. Obviously, higher education also is a very important department. So we are working together to say we need to advance this together with our department. As I say, our department is mainly focusing on research, but also we are focusing on development of the digital skills. As I have said, we have the challenge that our universities are very unequal. Your former white universities are still in a much better advantage than your former black universities under apartheid. That's why we are supporting this effort by the Association of Vice Chancellors to actually look at all the universities. Ourselves as the department, we are now going to be embarking on additional measures to support research and development, as well as development of new capacity to use and engage technology by what we call the historically disadvantaged institutions. For instance, historically disadvantaged institutions, when I was in higher education, I had introduced what is called the Sbusiso Bengu Development Program, which was to support these universities to raise their standards and their levels. We want to do a similar thing now in terms of research and development, as well as science and technology skills, so that these universities are actually not left behind. We are also partnering, by the way, with the private sector, like the IBM, with USAF. We are also working now with entities like Huawei, which is one of the most advanced institutions in terms of companies, in terms of artificial intelligence and so on. We are also using our G20 presidency, by the way, to place these matters very high of the agenda of the G20 countries, which must incorporate ensuring that poorer countries are not left behind.
What projects in your department are you currently spearheading? I know you would have been very passionate about the Square Array project, but what other AI-driven projects particularly are you encouraging?
Well, we have got quite a number of projects. Like I'm saying, we have established the Center for Artificial Intelligence Research, which is actually doing research in a number of AI areas. As I have said, it's data analytics, it's digitalization of our institutions and government, and teaching digital skills. across the board. And also we are looking at things like what we call adaptive cognitive systems, which is a very key component of artificial intelligence. Cybersecurity also is another big area that we are focusing on. Because, with more dependence, unfortunately, Thabo, on digital skills, we are also vulnerable to cyber attacks by those who want to steal data and so on. So as you build your capacity in data systems and digital systems, you also need to strengthen your cybersecurity. So we are doing a lot of research into actually strengthening. Also the CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, they are doing incredible work. It's an entity under our department on cybersecurity, which then enables us to do a whole range of other things. Let me also just give you another example, by the way, which is going to be using artificial intelligence done by the CSIR. In Gauteng, for instance, where you are, Thabo, we've got a very big problem of bodies that are in mortuaries that can't be identified. It's a huge problem. The CSIR has actually developed a system to be able to trace these bodies better. And what we are doing now is that every person who has passed away, we must actually take blood samples from those people, because that actually helps us to use DNA tests to be able to say, if those people who can't be identified, can we not trace their records? Of course, the big challenge is that we've got lots of undocumented migrants that are in our country. But nevertheless, since the CSIR has started doing this, working with the Gauteng government, there's been dramatic improvement in tracing and identification of bodies in our mortuaries. AI is going to help us to even upscale that more. All these projects are going to be as upscaled. We are also, by the way, doing work, as I have said, at Salt Lake University on the issue of speech technologies in order to improve communications, but also to improve the issue of speech and language in our country and how we use that. I'm sorry about this.
Yeah.
And our systems that we are involved in, for instance, we've got the National Advisory Council on Innovation, which has produced a report with very comprehensive proposals on national intelligence, or national artificial intelligence strategy. That actually is one of the projects, as I'm saying also, that we are actually involved in, which is to say, what are the specific further areas that we need to be working on? As I've said, some of the projects we are doing are international. In BRICS, this issue is now a very important matter. I had just attended not so long ago in China a Belt and Road Ministers of Science and Technology conference, which also has placed artificial intelligence very high on our agenda. Lastly, we are also involved in the African continent in what is called Science and Technology Innovation Strategy for Africa. It's called STISA 2032, whose goal is to coordinate amongst African countries in advancing science, technology, and innovation, and artificial intelligence is one of the priority areas.
Minister, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. That's the Science, Technology and Innovation Minister, Professor Blade Nzimande.